Good afternoon. How are you, our wonderful Hot Coffee viewers? Welcome to yet another edition of Hot Coffee. We are praying that you're going to have a therapeutic time and just have an interesting moment with us. So today is going to be so therapeutic. We are going to focus on story. So before we talk about what the topic is all about, I'd love to introduce our guest today. She's going to tell us her name and just a little bit about who she is. Welcome to the show, Christabel.
Thank you so much.
How are you?
I'm okay, thank you.
Okay. Would you love to tell the viewers your full names and just a little bit about you?
Okay, so I'm Christabel Namagala, age 22, and I'm the director for Mixed Disability Zambia. I'm also an independent model and a medical student.
Wow. So today's topic is going to be talking about retelling your story. So before we elaborate more what we mean by retelling your story, we just want to talk about her event. It's going to be on the 12th of June at Chris Small Lodge. The tickets are going at 100 kwacha each. So you would want to grab a ticket and just be there at her event, show her the support and just be there with her. And then also we are still talking about Hot Coffee book. It's a book that you want to have even through this cold season. As you're having your hot coffees, as you're having your 5 roses tea, grab a copy of Hot Coffee book and just read it through and get the therapy you need to have. So when we are talking about retelling your story, today's concept is about you using your painful situation, no matter what you went through. Let's say you went through a bereavement, or maybe you were raped, or maybe you were abused. So instead of talking about the details of the trauma that you went through, how's about telling your painful story into a positive and painful thing? So retelling your story just helps you to keep a positive language in whatever circumstance you are going through. You could be going through an abusive marriage this afternoon, but when we are telling you to retell your story, instead of telling your story about the things that you are going through in your marriage that are so abusive, that are so difficult, how's about talking about the positive things in that painful marriage, in that troublesome marriage? Like you discovered how to do tailoring, you discovered how to own a fleet of cars, whatever thing that came out of that painful thing is what we want to instill in your mind this afternoon. That even after retelling your story, you become a better and better person. And the more you keep on talking, retelling your stories positively, it helps you to delete those memories of pain, those memories of bitterness, rejection, whatever you may have gone through. So Christabel is going to tell us a little bit more about her life again, just something that can connect us to the discussion for today. Anything you want to retell about your life?
Okay, so today I'll be talking about how my eye turned crystal. That's how I describe it personally, and a few people. So yeah, I'll base my retelling of my story on the condition of my eye.
Wow. And why do you call it crystal?
Because it's something that when somebody looks at me for the first time, they're going to, it's something that makes me stand out, so to say.
Wow.
So it's like a diamond, so to say, but I prefer the crystal.
Okay. So you heard us talking about calling it crystal. So as you are retelling your stories today, and whenever you feel like retelling your story, always remember to name your painful situation something beautiful. You need to grow the skill of speaking beautiful words, even to an ugly situation that looks so dark. Let's say you are failing to read. You fail to read properly, or your accent fails you, or you fail to talk to an audience. How's about using a beautiful word? Call yourself you are a beautiful person. Call yourself you speak eloquently. Call yourself you know how to sing. Even if you sing Chileya, just say, I sing beautifully. By the time you keep on telling yourself that you sing beautifully, that Chileya will have gone, because you will have now loved your voice. You will have connected to who your real voice is. And that is how some people have actually missed opportunities in life because they don't believe in themselves. If something is not working out right, how's about making it work in another way? Just speaking a beautiful word. So like about your life, Christabel, I'm inspired that you used your condition to inspire other people, right? So how was it when you started it all out? How did you become Mr. Disability, and what gave you the boldness to just rise up and say, I'm gonna do modeling? Yeah.
Okay, so from a young age, I could do these high school pageants and whatnot, but that wasn't really it. And by then, I didn't really know my purpose. But then a few years later, I think that was in 2017,
Yeah.
I did a pageant called Face of Beauty International Zambia. So during that pageant, I think I just went for formality's sake until when I was invited to Bed Cure.
Okay.
The hospital deals with children who are living with disabilities. So when we went there...
So that was a place of exposure.
Yes.
You saw people in a worse situation
Yes.
than you were, and you were inspired.
Yes.
Okay.
So when we visited Bed Cure, we interacted with the families of the children and whatnot. And then when we went to Bed Cure, we didn't carry any food, we didn't carry any clothes. We just went there with a few of cards, written note. So we decided to pray with each. And then from there I realized whenever you might not have the solutions for everybody out there.
But emotionally
Yes.
being there, get yourself placed. But it should bring out the laughter around you, how people were reacting towards you, what kept you going. Did you have any voice inside you talk?
Going out to the public about myself. Yes, I knew people, when they look at me, they could say, oh, so this girl has this kind of an eye. But them hearing anything from me about me, they never really, during the book launch, because the book it's entitled A Crystal Eye. So that's where I write all my traumas and who I feel disabled or anything like that.
Yeah.
So it was as though their love overwhelmed the rejection or
confidence in life. So to us,
because they loved me too much, there were certain situations where I wanted to talk to them about something, especially my mom. I wanted to tell her something, or my sisters, but then I couldn't because I knew that whatever was breaking me could always break them more.
Yeah.
And I think they already broke more than enough. So sometimes I would just keep quiet, but then there was always somebody whom I could talk to, who's God. The Holy Spirit is always
there. She
there.
has mentioned a very important aspect. In whatever circumstance you are in, even when we're talking about retelling your story, it's not just going out there for somebody who is disabled. We all are exposed to different forms of traumas. So we want you as Hot Coffee to find somebody to talk to. In Christabel's case, she's saying she used prayer to talk to somebody, right? And how did it help you?
So as I prayed, sometimes I actually lost complete hope, but there's something about God. Even though I might not pinpoint it, but there's something about him.
Oh, wow.
I had to realize that in all those situations, in all those sorrows, in all those tears, in all those surgeries that I had to go through, I might have not seen his hand, but he was always there at every step. When I cried, he also cried with me. When I was in sorrow, he was in sorrow with me. I had to reach a realization to say when I had a heartache, he always had to have a heartache. It's more like whatever is going to break me also breaks God as well. And then he walks through us at every stage of it. Yes, our heartaches sometimes might make us blind and we might not actually see his hand in it. But I had to realize that all those doctors I met during my surgeries, all those nurses, all those people who helped me during high school, even now, even the people who are coming on board for Miss Disability, where are they coming from? It's all God's hand that's coming through to us.
So you kept that positive drive in your life, and keeping conversations with the right people helps you to fit in. So, you know, life may make you feel like I don't feel part of the group, I don't feel part of my family, but you have to speak to yourself right. The moment you say, I am loved, you will receive the love. When you are feeling any rejection in life, speak to yourself, retell your story and say, people just accept me everywhere I go. So sometimes it starts with your inner self, the things you say to yourself. How's about changing what you say to yourself this afternoon and just come out and say, I believe in myself, I'm a great person, and this is how God is going to work on me. I heard you mention that you were studying medicine.
Yes.
How did you get the inspiration to study medicine?
Initially, my grandmother would always say, you know, you've been to hospitals a number of times, you've been to surgeries, you should actually do a course in that has to do with eyes, optician or something like that. And then, by then, whenever I could look at somebody who has an eyesight, you know, there are people who have brown eyes, there are people who have this, I could always tear up, not because I'm crying, but because,
about it.
yeah, I just didn't want to look into people's eyes for some reason. So with time, I decided to say, okay, I can also be a medical doctor. And then most importantly, when I did my first surgery in 2016 February, when I entered the operation room, the doctor that I had found there, she said something that actually got to me. She told the nurses to say, let us pray before we start. And then I want to be this medical doctor. In as much as medicine cannot heal everything else, I want to be there for my patients, even spiritually. I want them to know that medicine sometimes, yes, you might have malaria, they might give you coartem and whatnot, but maybe your healing point is not, it isn't the medication, yes. Yeah. Maybe it's about you and God and having a conversation to say, God, is this really, really what you want for me? For me, I actually put him up here and then I go like, okay, you have to sit down here. I think we need to have a conversation.
Wow.
So it doesn't just end with the medication, doesn't just end with being helped by people, but it also ends with being spiritual as well, because life itself is spiritual. So for me, it has been a journey, quite all right, because in high school, I had to move my desk just near the board for me to copy notes. And then I now go to university setup where everything is a total different thing. I can't just sit in front of 300 students and then I'm going to be distracting a lot of number of students.
Yeah.
So it's been a journey, and I'm actually enjoying it because I think without these little pieces, I wouldn't be seated here and I wouldn't be called Christabel. It's as if this whole thing has been shaping my whole life, and I love where it's going and where it's coming from. Yes, there might have been heartaches here and there, but I had to embrace every little thing.
Wow, it's amazing how life can just be so beautiful. You said you are now age 22. So being a teenager, how was it like for you? How did you manage to interact with your friends? What was keeping you hopeful that life is still beautiful?
Okay, so my main, something that drove me really was whenever I could look at my mom and all the prayers I should put up, my sisters, my family members, but most especially my mom, I knew that I owed her something in return. Because there was a point when, I think that was in grade 10, it was a new school. So this class teacher walks in and then I talk to her to say, I have an eyesight issue, so I need to move my desk in front, but since I don't want to do that, I'll make sure I copy your notes after this class ends. So she wrote down notes on the board, then a few minutes later she walked through the class just to see if we were writing. Then she walked to my desk and then she said, why are you not writing? And then I'm shocked in that situation. I already explained my situation to her, but how come she's asking me such a question? Then I explained to her, then the words that she said were, I think you should stop school. You're just wasting your parents' money if you can't copy notes. And then she was serious about, like, she even chased me from the class. So I'm like, okay. So I walked to my dorms and I remember crying that day. Then my friends came and then they were like, no, you can't. I actually packed my bag. I was ready to stop school. It was actually, for me, it was, at that point, was actually, I think she's really right. And that's why I'm actually hurt, because she's right about whatever she said.
At that point that we need people to retell their story. When somebody tells you hurting words, when somebody tells you painful words that you don't expect from them, especially from people that you look up to. It could be your parents, it could be somebody older than you, and they say those hurtful words. That's when you need to now have a discussion with yourself and say, let me retell what this teacher said to me. Let me retell to what my boss said to me. I am brilliant. I can make it, and I'm going to prove to them that I'm going to finish my medical studies. I'm going to even own a hospital here in Zambia or beyond. So that's where you have conversations with yourself. And the moment you train that skill of retelling your story, every time somebody says words to you, learn how to have conversations with you. And yes, sometimes people won't see that you are normal because they'll say, why are you talking to yourself? But speaking out something gives life to something. Remember, there's power in the tongue. So whenever somebody tells it bad to you, you need to protect this, because the mind accepts whatever you give it. So when somebody has told you something, you can train your mind to just refuse something and say, I don't believe in that. When you know who you are inside, when you believe in yourself, you just rise above the words that people say in your life. So since now that you've talked about words, it took you to authoring a book, right?
Yes.
Is there anything sweet that you want to say about the book that has helped you to retell your story? I know you haven't yet launched it, but are you able to pick up certain things or one little thing that is saying this book is going to retell something about me that people will be touched and they'll be inspired?
Yes.
What is that?
So at the end of the day, in the book, I point out to say, despite all these traumas and all these struggles, all these fears, all these sorrows, at the end of the day, I ended up doing greater things. I'm a medical student today, and it's actually not everybody who comes for medicine, no. I'm actually grateful that I'm actually here. I'm now a director for Miss Disability Zambia. It's not everybody who can be a director of something. Yeah, and I'm actually soon to be an author as well.
Wow. So welcome to the author's world.
Thank you.
We are praying that you write more stories. You will retell your stories in a more positive way every time you are writing. How's about writing books that will excite the readers? We all go through bad stuff in life, but we need to shift our thinking now to say, let's retell the things we are going through. If the whole world today was going to say a beautiful word to their circumstance, I think our minds will be shifted. You know, something good makes you forget a painful thing. You just want to read it over and over. You do not want to read a book where you have teardrops at the end of it. It should inspire you to smile, to say, wow, this was one good thinker. So even as you are going to join the people writing the books and all, I'm just inspired by your life, that you were able to brave out the circumstances you were going through. And I understand teenagehood. I understand how it is to grow up a teenager with different experiences, different traumas. But what kept us all going, even my personal story, is retelling my story. And every moment that you wake up, you just say, I went through this bad experience. Don't even confess it. Of course, you will have to deal with it, but whenever you are retelling your story, it's a way for you to heal. So when you were doing the authoring, I do take it that you've written some stories somewhere, you have a journal in your bedroom. Was that helpful to you?
Yes, it was.
How was it helpful?
Actually, at first, I could start writing. The book that is about to come out, I think I started writing it 5 years ago. But I would write the introduction.
Were you a model as in 5 years ago, or is it the writing that helped you to discover who you are?
I was a model by then.
Or you were already a model?
Yes.
Okay.
And so I could always write the introduction, and then when I read through it, I always discovered, no, I think I don't have to tell the world this. So I would stop. I think I have about 5 copies where I write the introduction, but again, I go like, no, I'm not ready to tell somebody about this. When I really, really wrote the book and finished it, I actually wrote it as a third party. So when my mentor read through, Safedi Mwaba, he said, but why are you using she was when this is your story? And then he gave me an example to say, imagine when you wrong me, and then you get to say, Safedi, I'm sorry. It actually, the I carries more weight. If you want your readers to really, really get the message that you want to tell them and for it to really touch them, I think you should use I. So I had to re-edit my book again.
Re-edited, and that was a way of retelling your story about your life.
Yes.
When you are retelling about your story, you are taking stock of the bad things. You list them down, yes, but have that beautiful list of the good things that came out of that problem. Maybe you had 5 years of a chronic illness or something, but in that 5 years, at least there was something beautiful. And we always forget even the little beautiful stories that we went through, because you feel your problem is so magnified that there are no good things. So retelling your story in a positive way helps you to appreciate the good things about you. It helps you to appreciate those people who are giving you support, your caregivers, your friends around you, those who stood by you when you were nobody, like you didn't even know who you were, and God brought you to this place of awesomeness. And I'm sure you've got this beautiful feeling when you are walking, when you are meeting people out there, you're saying, I've achieved these things because of I believed in myself and I had a good God. But it all started inside you. So the stories were really good for you. So to somebody out there, use story writing to heal. Use story writing to just reflect about life. Did any part of reflection help you to be a better person?
Yeah, very much.
So when you were reflecting, were you using the reflection in a positive way, or you were counting the bad things people say to you? What were you using the reflection for?
Basically, the things that people used to say. I built this certain relationship with God, and then I've been this child for Him, like at every step, and then I don't deserve this. But then I also write to say, God doesn't really look at your experiences when He's blessing you. If He has to bless you, He's just going to throw the blessings just like that. So I didn't have to feel to say, I didn't have to pity myself to say, just because I'm like this, God, you have to do this for me. No. He's just going to bless you if He really needs to bless you.
Okay, so it's been amazing having you on the show. So maybe just to talk to the viewers out there, would you tell them a beautiful word, like you just look to the camera and just tell the viewer any beautiful word in closing?
Okay. So people who are going to watch this show, I want you to know that we might not have the same story, we might not have the same traumas, but I think every time we wake up, you and I just need to say that we need to get the day done. Whether it goes bad, whether it doesn't go good, whether it goes good, we need to be grateful for every little thing. And I think in as much as we are blinded by every life situations and whatnot, we need to always be grateful, because there's somebody who's always looking out for us. There's somebody who's always crying with us. There's somebody who's always getting hurt with us, and that's God. Just make sure you talk to Him and always appreciate the people who are there for you. It might only just be one, but I'm sure the one person is more than enough.
Wow. It's been amazing having you on the show, and we're praying that your event is going to be successful and people will support you out there. So we are thanking you so much for coming through to Hot Coffee, and we're praying you had some form of therapy having the conversation with you. We are looking forward to more interviews with you. So our dear viewers, it's been amazing time with Christabel. She has really enlightened me. I've drawn a lot of inspiration from her. I'm praying that you've also learned one or two things about her life. Until we see you in the next broadcast, it's bye-bye.
Ourselves in giving you the cleanest, safest mineral water on the Zambian market. Our mineral water is produced in the cleanest and most hygienic, germ-free environment in Zambia, and that's just a fact. We at Natural Valley take pride in the quality of our product so that you can safely enjoy our mineral water, rich in minerals, to satisfy that thirst and revitalize your body. So grab a bottle of Manzi Valley mineral water now to beat that thirst with the cleanest bottled water in Zambia.
Who's got the cheapest plots in town with affordable payment plans? Namayo, Heritage Property. Yes, I'm searching around, cause I'm trying to build a house where I can find a better place. Heritage Property. Tell me more. Heritage Property. It's another day to make a difference in your life. Put your investments in land today, and guess what? It's as cheap as 9,000 kwacha only. For only 9,000 kwacha, you get to buy a 30 by 20 size of land in 18 miles. If you can't pay it all at once, you still can pay in installments of 1,000 kwacha per month until you finish. For more details, visit us at Finical House on the 9th floor in room 9 or call us on 0976 734527 or 0961 620881. Visit our Facebook page at Namayo Heritage Property. Subscribe to our YouTube channel at Namayo Heritage Property. Come and inherit your heritage. Namayo Heritage Property, your land guru.
At Manzi Valley, we pride ourselves in giving you the cleanest and safest mineral water on the Zambian market. Our mineral water is produced in the cleanest and most hygienic, germ-free environment in Zambia, and that's just a fact. We at Natural Valley take pride in the quality of our product so that you can safely enjoy our mineral water, rich in minerals, to satisfy that thirst and revitalize your body. So grab a bottle of Manzi Valley mineral water now to beat that thirst with the cleanest bottled water